This is Show versus Business when pop culture meets pop money with your host, the real Theo Harvey, and Mr. Benja with all the relevant information. Mr. Benja, what are we talking about today?
Man, we're talking about all kinds of goodness, but you know what? The most important thing is we talk about what we want to and we have fun doing it. As the creative side and the financial side come together, boom, show versus business. I just felt like saying that. We got some news on Lizzo, a couple deaths in the family. Lewis Gossett, Chance Perdomo. Talk about Disney having a little battle inside, a little proxy battle going on with money, family support, etc. Lucas's name is thrown around. Speaking of Disney, we got a little information on the streaming churn and new strategies for people, and AI battles are coming up. We've heard about them before, but now Meta, YouTube, and OpenAI, the big dogs in the ring, are starting to actually run afoul of each other in certain ways. So it's starting up. And we just had some thoughts on AI. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit. I don't know. We'll keep it free. We'll keep it light. And that's about it for me. How you doing, Theo?
Man, Mr. Benja, I'm super hyped, man. I have just been going deep, man, just revamping my business and thinking of new ways to get people excited. And two things that happened this week for me. Number one, I've been dipping in those Facebook groups. You told me about this years ago, and I never really thought about it as a viable option for my business. But the more I dig into those groups and all the different people and congregations of folks, I like this could be something here. And in my market, I deal with healthcare space, and
Yep.
so I've been working with a lot of medical billers and stuff. And so I dip my toes in some of those medical biller waters and, yeah, just added value, man, and then people ping you. I was like, "This is how it works?" And so I've just been immersed in these
Yeah.
groups lately. I think I joined, like, about 10 groups in the last 2 days and just lurking, and then if I can add some value, add my 2 cents. And I think we talked about this, Gary Vee talked about this strategy, right, when it comes to Instagram, just adding value with DMs. Dan Henry talks about this as well, just reaching out and just having conversations with folks. So I'm really been yeah, been super stoked about just, hey, that does work. And you just gotta just work it and just don't look to sell anything. Just add value and build relationships in these groups. So that's been got me super excited about some new avenues to go after the business.
Yeah, definitely, man. The people are already there. So if it's an active group and you can just come in there talking with them, people will actually point you out sometimes and they'll tag you and say, "Hey, ask this guy," or whatever. And I've even found that they're not opposed to links from your site. "Hey, I thought about this once and wrote a little blog post about it. Check it out if you're interested in learning more about this, that, and that. But I can answer any questions that you have right here if you want." And it just, yeah, I mean, they're fun. I just looked up.
Yeah.
Black Women in Healthcare has 4,000 members.
Exactly.
I might have to go
Exactly.
there.
It's too many. You're neither in healthcare or a black woman, but yes, you can join these groups and get value from them. And then it's funny, Facebook will also show you what your friend the groups that they recommend to you. They'll show you which ones your friends are part of. So I saw some groups that you're a part of. I was like, oh, Mr. Benja likes that kind of stuff. Okay. You may have forgot about it, but there
Oh,
were some groups in there that I saw you were part of. We'll talk about offline. Nothing bad. Everyone's talking mess.
oh dear.
I know. Some groups. Ooh, spicy. But yeah, so yeah, I thought it was interesting. So I dipped my toe in those waters a little bit and start and also I think you were big on this too. Yes, school, you have circle and all these other options. But man, there could be value in just adding a Facebook group, right, to whatever business you're doing. And I'm starting to see potentially the value there, just building my own audience that funnel into that group and then building them over time and adding value. Now the challenge is I don't want to be a moderator. I hate that part
Right.
of it. You
Mhm.
gotta sit there. So may have to get someone to help with that piece of it. But that is something long term because ultimately you just want to nurture this group of folks and add value. And then hopefully they can ascend up the value chain for something else that you can offer them. So that's some new avenues I've been thinking about my business. Super excited. And the last thing I want to bring up was that super excited about my mentors, my online mentors. They're having a live event in May. So I don't get any money for this, but offering this. But it's so funny. It was like I've been doing deep dive on Dr. Benjamin Hardy. We've talked
Yes.
about him and what he's doing. And then I did a deep dive on Daniel Priestley, who does oversubscribe, key person of interest. And he's got this new thing called scorecard. So I've been deep dive on both these guys the last, year or so. Then I've been talking about Myron Golden for years. Guess what? they're coming to Tampa in May, and I'm gonna be right in the number, man. I decided I'm gonna show up for Myron Golden's Offer Mastery Live.
Okay.
And guess what? Daniel Priestley and Dr. Benjamin Hardy will both be there speaking. So super excited about that. So it's like, wow. So this is all three in one room. I'm just gonna hit them up, bah, 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 with some numbers and some questions. So I'm super excited about that.
Oh, there's actually somebody else in here I know too. I'm looking at the list right now of people, and Nika Maples. I actually ran across her once. That's
Oh,
one of
you know her? Okay.
the authors code.
That's funny. She was there last year. So I went to his event last year because it's in Tampa. Why not? I don't know if you can see that blue black background. If you look at the bottom there, there's a bunch of folks sitting on stage.
Yeah.
Do you see that? So that was the one I went to. So Mika is right there. She's the only white lady there. So she was speaking about, she's one of his students, right? And so it's interesting. She went from a panelist to a speaker. Obviously, they compensate him, Myron Golden, for his time, and then probably he provides a stage for them to offer their
Okay.
expertise. And so probably what he did was Nat Jones, she's also there. She's the young lady here on the left-hand side. So for the listeners, look, go to Offer Mastery Live. I don't get paid for this, but you'll see the picture at the bottom there. They were both panelists, but they're now speakers. So that, I thought that was interesting. And that was a low key, Mr. Benja, in the back of my mind. I have a book out. So I'm thinking, do I need to get on some platforms more? And so I'm thinking about really considering Myron Golden's offer and seeing what that looks like, especially if we can get me on some stages. Because ultimately, that's what Dan Priestley talks about. You need to become a key person of influence, and you have to be in rooms with more people in it. Because you can sell it one on one, but that's just not going to get you to scale. You got to create some kind of imbalance where more people are listening to you. And then now there's a sense that, hey, this person is hard to get to. There more people want to listen to him. So I have to do other things to get access to him. And so I think the speaking piece of it is the next level, what I want to get to with my business. And I think Myron has a key to that. And there's some other ones that I can reach out to see what they have. Because to me, I think the best offer would be, Mr. Benja, if you can go work with someone
Mhm.
and they not only help you craft your story and speak, but then they give you a stage too with an audience. That way you can record it.
Yeah.
And then you can say, hey, look, I'm a speaker. And that gives you other speaking engagements.
What was really cool about being in San Diego was being around Comic Con people, right? Like a lot of these video game artists and uh, production level artists, they would do a lot of 3D work, cover work, and things like that for comic books. In fact, I had lunch with Jim Lee one time. It was weird and out of the blue. My friend was like, "Hey, we're having lunch with these guys. One of them works at Wildstorm," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And one thing led to another, and suddenly it's a Jim Lee lunch. And yeah, he's just like,
Well, for the listeners, wait a minute, Jim Lee is
"Yeah,
a
go ahead."
legendary comic books artist. He did all the famous covers, what Spider-Man, X-Men, and everyone loves him. Yeah.
Yeah, dude can crank out with little work, just bam, and it's awesome, solid. He just knows his stuff. So yeah, and I brought up that up to say you hit a certain point where you start just talking to people and they're like, "Hey, you should do a panel about that." And that person calls the convention organizer. Next thing you know, you're on a Comic-Con panel. And I've been on one of those,
Mm,
a Comic-Con panel before, and it was fun. It was
nice.
just like, you just walk up there, they print out your little name badge and everything, and you're just like, panelist, BI. And so much authority comes from that. It's just unbelievable. Like, you don't even have to be speaking. You can just walk outside. Yep, I was a panelist. And these kids like, "You're a panelist?" "Yes, take my information, send me money, follow my tribe." It's great.
Yeah, man. So I'm a big believer in that now. So I think I talked about Daniel Priestley before, but key person of influence, oversubscribed. It's that whole. It's just you, and he talks about this concept of you want to create a tension of supply and demand. So basically, and it has to be transparent. So economics term is supply and demand curve, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times you don't one on one trying to sell someone something, and they like, oh, I have all the power and the knowledge, so I don't want to buy it from you. I can just go talk to other folks, right? Because they just think you're just one person. But if you switch that and become somebody where it's, you know what, I don't really need you here. This is what I have to offer. If you don't want it,
Mm.
I have other people online. So he gave the example of it's a hot day. You're trying to get an ice cream cone. You look around, there is a cart that's selling ice cream, but there's a line around the park. So now people go up to try to get an ice cream cone. Are they going to discount that ice cream cone? No, of course not. They probably raise their prices because there's so many people that want it. And so
Yep.
it's transparent because everybody can see it. And number two, so there's no sense of like negotiating a price or anything at that point. And so the way if you can structure your business like that, and that's where the mind shift is like, how do I structure my business where we become almost like untouchables? Yeah, we have this, but you can't sign up today. And he gave another example. I was listening to his masterclass. Chris Doe, you heard of his
Yes,
podcast?
yes. Yep.
Yeah, he had him on his podcast and he talked about, I guess he's more of a designer like
He's
you. And
fire.
he
Yeah,
was
I
talking
like
about, yeah, he was talking about like shoe drops, right? Was like, hey, here's a shoe drop. Come check it out. That 10,000 likes. Then you go to the website and it's sold out. But if you want to know when we do the next release, we'll notify you, sign up here. And so that's a sense of becoming oversubscribed and becoming a key person of influence. And to me, I was like, man, that is such a better way of running a business because it's like, it's almost like you dictate the price. You become a monopoly in your own little niche. And now you can dictate what you want and you can make more profits. And so he gave examples of like airline versus Rolex. Rolex has a waiting line out the box to get access to Rolex because they have wait lists. So you have to apply to get a Rolex, all this other stuff. Whereas airlines are way more essential. The price points is they make very little margins, 3 to 5%, because this is ubiquitous. It's everywhere that everyone needs access to. So anyway, I say that I compressed his whole kind of conversation, but like you can tell, I'm super excited about see how I can implement some of these strategies to how I think about my business because it's got to be a different way. I think the old traditional way is there, but it's not the same anymore. People are going to buy what they buy, and they only do. And I was talking to, I'll let you go. I know I'm going round
Go
winded
on,
about
go.
this. Stupid hype. I
Go.
explained to my marketing person. She said she just bought some linen, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I finally bought some linen. Great job." I said, "I wonder." I said, when did you decide to make this linen?" She gave all these logical reasons because of this, and it was more cheaper, it was better price, better quality, blah blah blah. I said, was there an influencer that talked to you first when you did your research that kind of swayed you? And she had to think about it for a second. She said, you know what? There was. I was listening to this influencer and she recommended this product and I looked at it over time and then I made a decision to buy it. So people emotionally make a decision to buy it first and they justify it logically later on
Yeah,
the buy.
yeah,
And I was explaining to her, I said, that's what you want to become with any of business. You want to become someone that people says, oh, I trust what they say. I know and trust. Now now I'm going to use logic to justify why I bought from him. It's a key mind shift, a change in when you think about business. And this is what's this advanced calculus, right? This is like advanced business 101. You really have to understand how you can become that person. So speaking, being on a panel like you talked about, it just levels up the game and the perception of who you are, the man that you are bringing, that people are like, "Oh, wow, Mr. Benja is someone I need to connect to because he's been on a Comic-Con panel. He must know something."
yeah, exactly. And it's funny, I got on a panel at Comic-Con because of GamerCon. You remember the
Mhm.
GamerCon thing. So, it's like some people owned a theater and were like, "Hey, let's start hosting our own little events here." And they started hosting their own little events. I drew up some posters and things for it, and people were like, "Holy crap, what is this?" And next thing you know, we're having big dogs come through this little event, and that little event, somebody said, "Hey, you should talk to this guy." Next thing, bada boom, bada bing. It's a great play on the entire concept of social proof. Just
Mhm.
people need to understand that you're socially relevant, and we don't have the facilities to do that just by talking to somebody like, "Hi, how are you?" "Hi, I'm this guy. I'm socially relevant." Dude, I was at E3 and some guy came out the toilet. He just blew it up. But when I saw his name, I won't say who it was. I was at a video game conference. Somebody came out the toilet and blew it up. And in normal circumstances, you talk trash about this person. But man, did you? Oh my God. But I looked at the name badge and saw the people that person left with. And I was like, holy crap. That's like a big dog. Suddenly, it's like the person's name badge and all the people they're with. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, now that person that blew up the bathroom, I need to know what that person's about. Not necessarily what they ate. I just need to know what they're about. and it's
I
amazing.
love it.
Yeah,
I love it, Mr. Benja.
everybody's the same until they're not.
Exactly. And that's all it is, just a perception.
Yeah, gotta know how who people are, and that's one of my key things that I've taken from all of this marketing, branding, sales study is that just figuring out how to know who people are, people how people should know you.
Absolutely. So, what about you, man? How was your week? You had some interesting things going on?
But week was going is going good. Still doing some things. I went quiet a little bit because I'm working on some things, but that's a good sign. And but I did get hype over the week because I saw this kid on YouTube. I sent you a link. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it, but this kid was selling candy and chips at school.
Mhm.
And it just brought back all those memories. I sold chips and candy for one day. I tried that and I was like, okay, this isn't my game. But then I went on to start flipping comic books. I started my video game rental business in school. I had a huge video game collection because the entire school was paying for it basically. And it was a flywheel, dog. It just kept getting bigger. The more you rent, the more I can buy, the more I can rent out. It's great.
You came with that concept before Amazon. I love it.
Oh yeah, it was great. Yeah, just I just had some great memories of selling stuff at school, and I try to sit down and create, like solely create, but that's not possible. So I jump up and I was like thinking of a marketing plan for this. I'm like, oh man, how am I gonna? And I was getting discouraged and ended up on YouTube. After about 45 minutes of wasting time, yes, I do waste time sometimes. After about 45 minutes of wasting time, I found this kid just selling chips and he has such enthusiasm. He's like, dog, don't go buy the Cheetos. Everybody's got Cheetos. You buy Takis, they're cheap. You can charge them the same as Cheetos, blah, blah, blah. They sell. And listen, I bring along my own little sauce. So people like to pour the sauce inside the bag of chips. It's great. And he just kept on going and going. And he was talking about the time he got caught, the time he decided to buy from Amazon instead of Costco. It's so rapid fire, so crazy. And this kid's in high school selling chips and stuff. I got hype, man. My sales hype is back, man. My marketing hype is back. Thank God for YouTube.
I love you. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Cause that's like with me too, man. Every time I'm like, huh, whatever, then you find something that's just inspirational and just gives you that extra push. Cause you're right. If someone's just selling chips, is that passionate and give you all these different flavors of how to sell it, how to position it, how to communicate it to his market. Crap, why can't you do the same with yours? You have and so it's almost a no-brainer at that point. And so it's you just have to go deeper into yourself and put your big boy pants on. Because I talked about this before, right? Just this reality, right? What we see is not really what's really going on. It's just what we perceive. And so if we can just moderate our internal selves and not be discouraged, then we can push through all that. And it's almost you almost have to become like a robot. You're like, this is what I do. I don't care how I feel. If I'm sad, upset, frustrated, just do the same thing every day. And then pretty soon you'll see the results, you change and just grow from there. So that's what I'm learning more and more as you become more advanced level in your business. You just can't take it personal. Customers drop you left and right. Customers don't pay on time. I don't take it personal no more, Mr. Benja. I'm just like, yeah, it is what it is. I just seriously, it's I used to get upset. It's like, why didn't they pay me? Don't you all this work we do? Like, you know what? Maybe they have a bad time. It's okay. We'll
Yeah,
get our
yeah,
money eventually. I used to be really upset about stuff like that, but now I can't be. It's you know what? That's such a distraction to be upset about these little small things because they take away from the bigger opportunity. And then also the market's probably trying to tell you something. So maybe, oh, the reason why they're not buying yet, maybe there's something that I haven't learned yet about this market. So let me
yeah.
figure out what that is. Let me try something else. And so I was to get frustrated too. Oh man, I did this great presentation and they didn't buy. What's wrong with them? Are they idiots? No, listen, switch it. So it's almost like I have to. You have to just don't take anything personal. Nothing is personal. It's just all about signals to understand. Maybe I need to do the process different, right? Instead of offering this, maybe I offer some more incentives. Maybe I need to offer more value because the market will tell you when it wants to buy. You just have to keep changing it till you learn from that. So anyway, so that's I agree, Mr. Bench. It's all about getting hype and staying engaged. YouTube is great for that if you watch the right YouTube videos, of
Yeah.
course.
You ever get blindsided by a certain truth that makes a lot of sense, but you just hadn't looked at all? And
Absolutely.
it was funny. I was talking to this girl, and I was like, I try to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm always having arguments with this guy, and we're trying to work together. And she was like, we were at Starbucks, and she's like eating a muffin or whatever. And she's, I first met you. You were a jerk. I thought you were real intimidating. I just wanted to leave you alone and never deal with you. And I was like, huh. So yeah, I couldn't imagine working with you when you're like that because I was excited and on my when I'm in my mode. She was like, yeah, I couldn't deal with you. I was like, huh, I get it. Now that she
Mhm.
said it, I could like stop, look outside of myself, and get it. But yeah, man, you don't know what's on people's minds and how they're taking you. It's all
Absolutely.
good.
And I always try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Just like, maybe they're going through a hard time. Maybe this is issues. I always try to do that and give them more grace than my initial reaction. But yeah, so I'm learning. You just have to, man. You have to evolve. So we gonna stay
Yeah.
sane.
Yeah. So I've been on YouTube. What you been watching?
Oh man, Invincible, Mr. Benja. Have you
Oh,
been checking out the latest Invincible?
you know what? I wanted to wait till all the other episodes finished dropping, so I didn't get caught up in the weekly thing. So I got to
Yeah.
wait till all of them finish, and then I'm gonna go through it.
Guess what? They're done.
Okay, good.
So you can watch all of them. Yeah, I think I told you when it first came out last year, I went and binge read, not binge watched, but binge read all of the comic books, and so I know where the story's going. But I tell you, man, it's intense, just like it was last year. We talked about Invincible, the TV show, the Robert Kirkman series about a young superhero that's learning difficult truths about being a superhero, and just like last year, it's the same intensity in the finale like it was not last year, but a couple years ago with
Yeah,
the big battle that the meme that went around the world. I don't think it's getting a lot of push right now. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because the weekly push, people are just not talking about it as much. I don't know. Seemed like last year everybody just jumped on it. And then all of a sudden this year it got quiet. I don't know. What's the you're more in these internet X thread streets, Mr. Benjo. Are they talking about it at all?
I can't remember what was going on around the time that the Invincible season 2 dropped, but I remember it wasn't a big push, and there was something else in my mind space that was taking up all the air in the room.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever recovered from that initial push and just
Mhm.
let it sit. So now with these second set of episodes coming out, if I felt like they just didn't do anything with those either.
Yeah, that's a challenge. So maybe I think what happened too was people caught up on it. The first season was so complete, they did all 10 episodes at the same time. People jumped on back on it. But when you split up seasons like this, but I see why they did because I didn't know these episodes are almost like 45 minutes long. Animation 45 minutes long is crazy. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, they do a joke in the one of the episodes about how they get some of this. It's funny. They talk to a animator in the actual cartoon. He said, "Hey, how do you get so many episodes out so fast?" And they did jokes. He said, "Oh, sometimes the artist will put the hand over the mouth of the person so you can't see it move. Sometimes they do wide shots, and they did that in the episode. Sometimes they use different animators, and you saw the animation was different. So it was funny. They did a little joke on how long it takes to get these Invincible episodes out. But yeah, it's a great show, man. I definitely think Robert Kirkman, man, he's got it, man. Between this and The Walking Dead, this dude's gonna be eating for a long time because these are some great stories that he put together. So he's like a one man band. I think he's what Todd McFarlane wanted to become before he
Oh,
went down the
yeah.
rat hole of toys.
Hey, toys is big money, man. It's a whole thing. It's not as big as if you make it hit, but it's consistent. It's fun if you get into it, and yeah, you can just go off on your own and not do too much of the normal.
You gotta
You
have
can
good
get pressed.
stories, man. You gotta have good stories. So Todd McFarlane, for those that don't know, was a great big artist, comic book artist and writer in the 90s. He wrote Spider-Man. He did that famous cover, Kraven's Last Hunt with Spider-Man in the web. And he went off the deep end and just created his own company and did toys and created Spawn. But the stories are okay. I don't know. You were a big Spawn guy back in the day, Mr. Benja.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
but I checked it out. I was like, it's okay. And then he had 3 characters I think that did well. Angel, of course, Spawn, and what was it? The clown. And
Violator.
then, the Violator, 4 characters. But that's what I'm saying is, dude, make some better stories, and then we can have more characters of toys that we wanna collect.
Yeah, he had one of those premises that is like that's good for the first 10 issues or whatever, and then you're like, "Okay, where does this go?" And you're stuck. But he kept running it, and I think he just didn't wanna make more stories and was fine doing art and making toys. McFarlane Toys is big. Weta Toys is now big because of McFarlane Toys. I don't know if you saw our boy Raphael. He did the 3D Wolverine. I don't know if you saw that on socials.
No, I ain't seen that yet. Okay.
Yeah, he did a great Wolverine, sculpture. He did the official Black Panther sculpture too
Oh,
for,
nice. Well, big time. Ralph,
I know, right?
shout out.
Shout out. But yeah, man, I'm not watching anything right now, so I'm churned out. I need to churn back in at some point.
Churn in, brother. What am I is there anything new I'm trying to watch? Man, yeah, it's Darf. I don't know how you say that, but basically it's not a lot out there. I'm trying to watch right now. I'm actually going back to some old shows, but I'm trying to think. Was there anything that's interesting that came out? I saw
Oh, there's
Ghostbusters with my daughter the other day.
okay.
Yeah, nothing. They're trying to make it a thing. And this is along the lines of definitely need to do this. What's it, the entertainment IP index? I think we may have talked
Oh,
about
yeah,
this
yeah.
briefly. But we may have to put that in there. So they're trying to create a whole IP around Ghostbusters. They even have a whole section called Ghost Corpse. I don't know, Mr. Benja. That IP might be tapped out, but there's only so far you can get with this kind of
Yeah.
comedy horror mix that they're trying to do. Yeah.
It's a it's not a bad idea, but it seems like it's too little too late.
Yeah. Be honest with you, the real Ghostbusters, that cartoon was
Mhm.
fire. I just remember watching every episode, just man, this is good stuff. It was like dramatic. They had interesting storylines, development, part 2 episodes. It was really good. I just remember that being a part of the equation. But since that, because it ran so long too, remember it ran like for like years. But I just don't remember any storylines that were relevant to us. Was it really that good?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're all one shots.
yeah. So
Uh,
anyway, so I think that's the only things that I've been watching, if you think.
so I got this article that came out from MSN, reading from I don't know where it was originally sourced from, but apparently a lot of shows are coming out. Ripley, Fallout on Amazon, Kaiju number 8, Shogun, X-Men 97, American Horror Story has new installments. And this is funny. This article is actually saying, yeah, don't try to have all these streaming services. You need to start churning.
Mm, yeah,
This,
send that out to the interwebs, man. I want to check that out. Yeah, to your point, I guess I am watching X-Men 97, but it is what it is. This third episode is interesting. I don't know if you checked it out yet, but they're splitting it up. They're telling the same story, but they're doing like featurette stories like they did with the old episodes. This is a Jubilee episode. Guess what? It's a Jubilee episode, so she don't get a full episode. She gets 15 minutes. You think I'm joking? Go check it out.
that's great.
So Jubilee, to my point, I said this before when we had Dr. Chris on, but yeah, Jubilee is not the greatest X-Men character. And that shows by how much time she was given in her own episode.
Okay. So what happened with her to me is that she was never given a hook of a story. So most characters, you have some sort of tragic hook. Most heroes, I should say, superheroes, you have a tragic hook. Spider-Man, yeah, I live with my aunt. We don't even talk about what happened to his parents. I live with my aunt, and my Uncle Ben died, and I'm a neighborhood New Yorker. I'm just trying to live and make some money off my photography and my science and save some people along the way. And there's this little tragic story about, wow, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
In my opinion, the best intro, best origin story ever.
Mhm.
Because in the blessing is a curse. And so that even Batman, yes, he has the curse of his parents dying, but it's almost a compulsion. But it's not. He already had the powers. Spider-Man already had the powers. He already had the blessing. He still got cursed. And so it's now
Yeah.
it's always a reminder. Whereas Superman, he came down and he just is, but he just has to put it in check. So it's like, I'm trying to think of anybody had as great as that's why Spider-Man has probably endured the long as he has, because probably the greatest intro, to your point. If you have a great intro, it's like the rest of the stuff doesn't matter almost.
Yeah, I was trying to think of other X-Men, but I know the original crew, they get over because they were the original crew of X-Men.
Yeah.
So it's Iceman, Angel, Beast. Didn't need to know their individual stories because
Mhm.
it's, "Hey, listen, we were all shunned from our societies, and Professor Xavier brought us together." That was the glue that held them all together. But then you have somebody who comes later on. It's okay, if you're gonna come later on, we need to know what
Yeah.
you're about. And
Well,
Jubilee
what they did, what did they do though? Let's be honest. The X-Men, if they introduced a character, the way they did was so much mystery, right? Bishop came, oh, who's Bishop?
Yeah,
Gambit,
exactly.
oh, where's he
Oh,
from?
yeah.
Oh, he's got an accent. Mojiri. Cable, oh, who's Cable?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
They
how they
went all
that's how they introduce.
they went all in on Cable, yes.
Yeah, it was just there's always mysteries. Remember they had the ones where they would show a black a question mark on someone's face. Who is Bishop related to?
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
big old question mark. And he just, oh, come on. But to your point, Jubilee, she's always been like the audience surrogate. And so she's a plot device just to introduce you
Yeah.
to this world, number one. And number two, because now she's older and has been around a while, they're just using her as this like internal fun loving girl. You're always gonna be young and she's always going to want to go to the mall, hang out. So it's almost like, hey, she's this character that shirks her responsibility. But like you said, there's some they can do more. I think it's just so many of them.
Mhm.
It just don't. But this classic ones, Nito's got some good ones. Of course, Professor X has some good ones. Cyclops and Jean Grey, they always got some shenanigans going on.
Yeah,
But I agree, man. X-Men is tough to get that great origin story from. Wolverine,
yeah.
but Wolverine, same the issue. Where did Wolverine come from? We're gonna do origin, Wolverine origin, so you'll know where he came from, right?
I'm not necessarily getting at the fact that you need to know every bit of their history. They just have to be compelling for some
Yeah.
reason. And I don't think she was ever given a platform that was very compelling. So it's a hard problem. For every Deadpool, there's 48 other characters that they tried to introduce that just didn't catch on. So it's not an easy thing.
But Deadpool was a plot device too. Let's be
Yes, she was.
honest.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's hard to
It's like
catch on.
he's a mark with a
But
mouth.
but he came with the whole Weapon X program that we were interested in at the time. He was connected with the new comic book launch of X-Force. So we're launching X-Force and we have to have a new character come in. It was also
Man.
Rob Liefeld's baby.
Hold on real quick. I remember you was so hype about X-Force. You used to go on and on about X-Force. Man. That and Turok.
Don't don't forget Shadow Man. Oh my god. How
Shadow
dare you?
Man. Yeah, man. You would go on and on about X-Force. Oh, X-Force. Oh, I was like, oh my God.
Shut him up.
Please, X-Force, come. Oh my goodness. Well, yes. Okay, but I hear your point. And we said all that to say, let's go back to what we're watching was that it's her episode of the X-Men 97 to show you how her importance in the X-Men universe. But yeah, those are the ones I'm watching. And then one last thing, Shogun, just not to digress too much. Shogun is another great show you need to go check out. That's really good. It's getting better. But those are the things I'm watching. But yeah, it's not much, Mr. Benja. I wish there was more. But send me the article. I would love to understand more about how people are churning out because I'm starting to feel that too. It's almost like, not a lot to watch, really,
Well,
or
Westworld's
good
coming back,
quality
so
watch.
I'll churn back in when Westworld returns.
Oh, don't do that. Oh, Mr. Ben, don't go in a little crazy loop where you're just on the wall drawing stuff because of Westworld.
Let's see,
Yeah,
first
I
I'll
see that happening.
break out my, clipboard and everything. Yeah, speaking of, quitting services and turning back in, we were talking about influencers and stuff earlier. So I wanna be Lizzo's friend, but not like a close friend. I just wanna be Lizzo's friend, but, like, from far away. You asked me one time what I thought of Lizzo.
Yeah, and
I said, "That was unfortunate, but I just wanted to say that's what came to mind." It's like, why did that come to mind? And I started looking at how she's sold. It's not like I ever thought Patti LaBelle or a lot of these others. It's how she sells herself, and it's
Mhm.
cringe, and it's she wants to play off the negativity. Anyway, I'm bringing up Lizzo because She says she quit on Instagram. She says, "I quit. I'm done. Da da da." And I think most people shrug their shoulders and were like, "All right, whatever." And it didn't cause too much of a stink. And then she comes back on Instagram and walks it back in a video with lots of cleavage. Lizzo cleavage,
It's the Benja.
the leavage.
What that's what had me cracking. I didn't know if you're gonna bring it up on here, but
Oh yeah, man.
in our
Oh yeah.
show notes, you literally put in there walks it back of a video with lots of cleavage. Is that is like why is that the defining characteristic of what she talked about in your mind?
Because okay, she's talking about a serious thing. One, mental health, dealing with haters online, just her whole vibe being about music, negative energy, how we talk to each other. And she comes back and says, "When I say quit, I quit giving any negative energy attention. What I'm not going to quit is the joy of my life, which is making music." I don't know that she actually pushes music. It's confusing to me and it's frustrating in a lot of ways. So it just bugged me that she took as much time as she did to get her face done, her hair done, her makeup matches her swimsuit, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, "This message isn't doing what I think you want it to do." And I honestly can't tell if you're being genuine or not. I don't know
That makes sense.
how much she's pushed music in any major way. She's pushed the music industry, genre kind of things happening around it, but I don't know, are you trying new sounds? Are you really speaking to people on a new level? And maybe she's trying, it's just not working, but dog, these comments were speaking it for me. Everybody says, "I thought she posted, 'I quit' for the attention and energy." Somebody else said, "But wait, she's the one giving off all the negativity." This Barbie girl says she needs to quit wearing clothes that don't fit. And this is from a woman here. So I'm just picking all these comments. And this is like a pro black site that posted this. So her final thing is, "I'm not going to quit the joy of my life, which is making music." I don't think that's the joy of her life.
Ooh, hot takes. And you're just going by what she's doing. You're not going by what she's saying. So, in your opinion, you think she has a hidden agenda? And what's that agenda?
Uh-uh. It just seems like she's out to get attention. And come on, dog. Come on. How much do I?
Let's put it plain spoken. I think she's trying to set being overweight of a certain look as a standard of beauty, which I don't see anything wrong with that inherent. Obviously, we're in a different mode now where people are like, totally against that now. And they're like saying, hey, does she need to be healthy? Blah, blah, blah. Is she really healthy? This and that. And I think she spearheaded this whole movement of, hey, we all, big girls need love too. We all need
Mhm,
to, this, we can still be healthy even though we're overweight and all this other stuff,
mhm.
and she had a whole reality show about that. But this positivity she put out doesn't relate to all her dancers coming out against her and suing her for not
That
having
too.
positivity right
Yeah.
behind the scene. So it's which one of these don't belong is almost incongruent. And so now, to your point, she's coming out and saying something that is clearly for the clickbait, and then she walks it back and says, "I'm not really quitting. I'm just quitting y'all, quitting the negativity." It's come on, why did you just say that the first time?
If
It's tough.
if Cardi B were to come out in an outfit like this, as how Cardi B looks, if she came out how she looked and said, "Hey y'all, I'm all about the music," I'd be like, "Not according to this post." If she was wearing what Lizzo is wearing.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Women, I think they get overly judged, though. Let's be fair. And so maybe Lizzo's also on the other end. But at the same time, I think she needs to just be more transparent and honest about things and just be like, look, I'm getting a lot of negativity and hate. May I sit down for a little bit and not just be
I'll
something that's so clickbaity.
I'll give it to Kanye too. It's no, Kanye is about, "Hey, I'm here to make an album," or he'll say, "I'm here to make fashion," or "I'm here to make art." But each of those is in alignment with what he's talking about. He'll even say, "I'm here to get people to think," or whatever at the time that he's saying it. She's a bit incongruent. That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I said, I like her music, but she's definitely getting some bullets here. Maybe some are self-inflicted wounds on her part. She just needs to go back to being a more transparent artist. Because at the end of the day, man, people Look at what happened to Doja Cat, right? She changed her whole image and she was all bubbly and pop and then she went all demonic and stuff. Obviously, I'm not letting my daughter listen to her anymore. She was mad because all her fans left her. But if that's authentic to who she is, then fine. Be who you're going to be as an artist. But I think that's the thing she needs. Lizzo needs to just be more transparent with that. Because you're right. I'm not on the art side. You're more the show side of the show versus business. But to me, true artist has to be truthful, regardless of what that truth is. And so if you can't, and people even sniff out untruthness, then they'll be like, I'm not fooling with you no more. So I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Totally. I don't think Doja Cat is being untruthful. I think she's just being weird, and people are like, "Okay, I'll be over here while you're being weird."
Yeah, exactly. That's who she is. That's who she wants to be now, and that's fine.
Yeah,
Artists can change and evolve, but just be truthful to who you're gonna be. If Lizzo is evolving into somebody that's gonna be mean and negative, then be that way. Don't be fake and phony about it. You know, say, "Look,
actually,
I cuss out anybody. I don't
actually, that
care no more."
actually that could be kind of fire. You know,
Exactly. Be who
you
you
know,
gonna be.
I just had an image in my head of Lizzo on stage with some fake body of some person she's having beef with, and all of a sudden they talking so much noise that the fake body lights up on fire, and she gets out her flute and starts doing the flute dance around the flaming body. I just,
The twerk, the flute twerk that she does, the flute twerk.
yeah, exactly.
Lizzo,
Uh,
see, we're giving you free advice here. Go take it.
oh goodness. Sponsored
Oh
by
man.
Doja Cat Incorporated. All right.
Mr. Benja, I got something, man. We're talking
Talk.
about battles and probably about people throwing flames on folks, man. Did you know there's been a hot flame battle at Disney right now? Were you aware of that?
I heard some rumblings, but I didn't get the scoop.
Yeah, man. So Disney was involved in a proxy battle on the board. So this is the business side of show versus business, but Disney has a board. These are people who kind of help Disney run the corporate machinations and all that. So there's about what 6 members or so, and Bob Iger, as the CEO, is the chair of that board. He was now he's more on the board, and so they do what they call corporate governance, guide direction that Disney should go. Well, recently, because the stock was down and then Bob Iger's been having a hell of a time. We talked about this in previous episodes of all of shenanigans going on at Disney. They got some beef. There was some what they call activist investors, folks who have money in Disney saying the board is effing up. Get rid of these jokers. We want to put 2 of our members on the board to dictate where Disney can go. So it was run by some billionaires, of course. This is some billionaire gamemanship. This is all this is. Nelson, I got it here. Nelson Peltz. And then Nelson Peltz is a big time guy. He's been all over the place buying big companies. But the name that Nelson Peltz is working with is a name called Ike Perlmutter. Do you know who Ike Perlmutter is?
Yes, he is the I want to call it. I just call him the mean guy in my just thinking about him. But he was the mean version of Iger after he left, and just was about the money. Started making some changes, and a lot of people didn't like how he was nickel and diming. It became a whole story.
Absolutely.
So
He
yes,
was a president of a Marvel right before they sold to Lucas
yes,
Film, and he was still part of that process. And so he was the one that kind of got Marvel out of bankruptcy because he was nickel and dime and everything. Marvel had went through some bad times, right? That's why they were licensing the Fantastic Four. We all saw those horrible steals videos of the Fantastic Four by Robert Corman, right? And that was Ike Perlmutter's business, right? And that's how Fox got X-Men, Sony got Spider-Man because they needed the money. Marvel was broke.
yeah,
So when they finally sold to Disney and then Kevin Feige came in and started running the business, Ike was still part of that process, but he fought Kevin Feige tooth and nail. Matter of fact, he was totally against Black Panther. He said nobody wants to buy Black superhero toys. When that happened and Black Panther made $1 billion, Ike had to go. So anyway, he's still fuming. He's got money. He ain't hurting, but he's in his 70s, 80s. So what else he gonna do? So he got with some guys and said, "Hey, we're gonna go. Disney's soft now. We're gonna try to go and get some board seats so we can take it over from inside." And so they did this big shenanigans where they were gonna try to take over the board. And Iger was dealing with a lot of different things, and this is one of the things he was dealing with, trying to figure out how to keep these jokers from coming on his board and influencing the direction of Disney. So that's why we saw Iger do a lot of things. We talked about this. He basically talked about $60 million investment in Disney World to expand upon that and do more with it. He talked about Hulu and integrating with Disney Plus. Now, mind you, stuff that the other Bob wanted, Chapek wanted to do, but Bob Iger pushed it further along, right? Because he had
Mhm.
to make some moves faster. And then he also wanted to do a bunch of other things, and he got Taylor Swift. He paid her some money to do a streaming concert, basically bought her a streaming concert and brought on Disney Plus. So he did all these moves in like less than 90 days. So he can show we're moving forward. And because of that, the stock went up. So when I'm calling myself too, because I'm a Disney stockholder, full disclosure. You actually get voting lists, right? To who you can vote for. Do you want these jokers on the board? And so you get your sheet, and it's not like a regular voting sheet that you normally
Okay.
see. Oh, do you want this person, that person? It says, hey, do you want this person on board? And but guess what? If you do, that's great because this is who the board wants. But if you don't, then that sucks. It's so many
Yeah.
words. So it's almost like I got that thumb on the scale to influence you one way or the other. So in that too, it's just like any voting mechanism. You vote for who you want on the board and the board gives their recommendation. And then they also had 4 other items. It was weird, man. They had an item for more transparency and who Disney gives their money to from a political standpoint. And obviously that came from political reasons. They had some stuff issues around transgender and wondering why Disney was investing so much in transgender education and things of that nature.
Okay.
And the board was like, "No, we don't want any of that transparency. Vote against that." And so anyway, so I voted, and then they had their call the other day, and it was so funny. So they talked, and the board, it was the board chair. He talked. I forgot his name, but he talked. And then they gave everyone who was opposed to the board their 2 minutes. The guys that wanted a board member, Nelson Peltz and the Titan Corporation, that's the name of the PE firm, a private equity firm that wanted to get a board seat. He just went on and on. Disney sucks in so many words. Disney sucks. Bob Iger done crap, and this and that. He went over his time, and they interrupted him. Excuse me, sir. Your time is over. Please stop. So it was just seeing the fight at that level.
Yeah.
It's just funny. It's just a little bit more polite, but it's also mean spirited. And needless to say, Iger won. So he was able to keep those guys off his board. But it was interesting to see it played at such a high level. And so Disney is okay for now. We'll see.
I like how Iger gave this quote. It said, as Iger reminded investors in the video, as we gather today, we stand on a far more solid foundation, which has been fortified by our ambitious course of action over the past year. We're once again building for growth. It it's like statements like that. You're like, oh wait, if you weren't building for growth before then, what was going on? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
picking
shenanigans.
up the pieces from. I just love the way they
Shenanigans.
talk.
Yeah, corporate speak, man. But it was so after we did the voting, then Iger did his whole presentation on what they were doing. So all the investments in Fortnite, all the new movies, Deadpool coming out. So really pushing how Anna 2's coming out with Dwayne The Rock Johnson, the original cast. And so just really trying to pump up Disney and where it's going for the future outside this battle that he had to fight. So it's interesting to see. Is Disney safe? I don't know, Mr. Benja. I still think they're soft. They don't have enough. And it being an entertainment business right now is tough. I just see that more and more. Not only do you have technology, AI bubbling up, trying to take over, but then you also have the big tech companies get into your business. And then also you have YouTube and stuff really realizing your audience because YouTube is the most watched streaming service, as we discussed previously. So do kids really want to watch movies anymore? Do they want to watch TV? So it's what stories are you telling that's going to be more compelling? If it's outside of IP, nobody's watching it. If it's not something they already know
Yeah,
about or
yeah,
interested in. So Disney is finds itself in a very unique, precarious situation. And so we shall see. We'll keep up to date on the business side of where Disney could be going.
good. Speaking of AI, so this is a funny story to me. We're starting to have an AI video battle come into play where everybody's wondering what's going to be that next level. And once I think AI video could be a very big thing, but the interesting part here is that you've got Meta, you've got YouTube, and you've got OpenAI. And OpenAI has this technology called Sora, which has been putting out little, hey, we made this all in AI. They're putting out a couple of videos here, getting everybody salivating, crazy. there's crazy interested in what this AI video could mean. And this is OpenAI, a group that's not a video service. I suppose Microsoft has a ton of video they have access to from somewhere, but YouTube and Meta, which is Instagram and Facebook, they have all the video data. And YouTube, the CEO came out and was like, "Hey, they better not be getting video information from us." I'm just saying. They just better
Mhm.
not be getting video information from us because that'd be against the terms of service and it could be very bad. And it's funny, they go back and ask OpenAI, "Hey, where are you getting your data from?" And one of the head people over there is, "I don't know." So it's just, oh,
Wait a minute, the head of technology over there doesn't know where to train their AI models from.
did
Mm.
she say she didn't know or she wasn't sure where it came from? But she gave a very
Oh,
dodgy
man.
dodgy answer. And
That's BS.
and her face seemed, "I don't know." It was it's suspect.
Sus, as the kids say.
Yeah.
Nah, man, I think, yeah, it's so obvious that OpenAI has been gathering data for years, soaking up all this data for training. But now that the cat's out the bag, everybody's been locking down their data sets. So
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see how OpenAI stays competitive in this market. Because I don't know if you saw Amazon just put like $2 billion, 2.8 billion, I think, into Anthropomorphic, which is a competitor to OpenAI. They have their Claude. I don't know if you saw their Claude version of Chat GPT. Yeah, it's supposed to be even better than OpenAI ChatGPT because it's a faster model. But I think that's what we're going to see battles of. Look, these tech giants. Look, we got more data than God. We can't let OpenAI come in here with some shenanigans. They may have got ahead of us, but guess what? They ain't gonna get this data no more. Best believe. We're Google, and matter of fact, we're Google. We're the ones that came up with the concept of how to create large language models with transformers. So what the hell are you talking about?
What you gonna do without our data? What you gonna do?
Exactly. That's what we're getting against. And so you see Sam Altman, you know, saw some of the shenanigans he's up to. He's a leader of CEO of OpenAI. He's talking about he wants to get $4 trillion to build his own chips. I think there
Yeah.
was some secret. I saw something recently about him getting with Johnny Ive from Apple to create some kind of personalized AI device. He's man, we gotta do something else, to partner with folks or do something bigger because the big guys are coming because they like on their own. They were a nonprofit for a long time. So now they have to they're not tied. The only one they're tied to is really Microsoft. But even Microsoft is didn't Microsoft invest in some AI company too? I think they invested in and bought over some AI. There was a big news on that recently too. Yeah, this AI stuff.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
heard
it was
something.
they
I
got
can't.
$2 billion for what they were doing. And shoot, if I can get my email up, I can figure out who that was. But yeah, man, it's I don't know, Mr. Benja. What's your overall take on the I guess we have a new segment. We don't really have segments really anymore, but a new section. We need to call it the AI wars, man. Where's this all going to end up, man? It's like these big titans are fighting on this high level, and we have no idea how this is going to affect us long term. And that's a little bit scary.
We're just getting dragged along for the ride, and they need more data than is currently available, and that's all I know.
I agree. This is where we're at right now. And we're in a situation where I just don't know what they're doing. That's the scary part.
I didn't say any more on that because we're low on time, though.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into another time. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the company, but we'll check it out.
And we
Mr.
gotta
Benja, man.
real quick, we gotta watch
What's
out for Apple too, man, because Apple shifted away from their Apple Car, and now they're going to Apple AI. So we'll see what happens.
Meta is no longer Meta, right? Metaverse, they're going AI. So yeah, man, this is Class of the Titans, man. And I hope to God that this is all gonna turn into a mess because they just don't know how to get stuff together. That's my hope because it's like it's too much money. Billions of dollars? This is ridiculous. But
Billion.
anyway, Mr. Benja, we'll talk about it later. Everyone, thank you for listening. We're gonna go ahead and end it today. But look, I hope you enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe, and comment at Show versus Business on X, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Go visit us at our website, Show versus Business. Mr. Benja, have a great week.
Peace.